Hello, and welcome to the RealRam fam. On my channel, I intend to provide you with a safe platform to discuss the intersections of your entire being, to be able to be comfortable in your own skin, in mission or position. There is no one like you, and we all have a purpose and message. I, for one, am a black woman, mother of four, a military veteran, and a wife, and a social worker, just to name a few. From my channel, I hope that you learn more about military families and social workers. Three of the social work values are my aim in each video: importance of human relationships, dignity and worth of the person, and social justice. No matter what you initially think when you hear social worker, there is more to the profession. Trust me. Stay locked in by subscribing to the channel, and be sure that you hit that notifications bell so you don't miss any new uploads. Without further ado, on to today's episode.
What's going on, Ram fam? So today we got another veteran with us today. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give you a history fact first, and then I'm going to bring in this veteran. So as my son, and we got a guest with us today. We got Zendaya popping in and out. So this veteran served in two branches. So according to usmcchangeout.com, today is today is the 4th. Today is the 4th of November, and I couldn't find a history fact for the 4th of November. So the 1st of November in 1983, 300 Marines of the 22nd Marine Amphibious Unit staged an amphibious and helicopter landing on the island of, you can correct me, Caracau, I don't know, 15 miles northeast of Grenada in a search for Cuban military installations or personnel. 17 Grenadian soldiers were captured, and arms, ammunition, and training sites were found. The next day, the 22nd MAU left the Caribbean area and proceeded to Beirut, Lebanon to replace the 24th MAU. Again, this comes from usmchangout.com. Secondly, on November 3rd, 1999, this is South Carolina Army and Air National Guard. The 169 FW, I have no clue what that means. South Carolina Air National Guard qualified most of its pilots to use the high-speed anti-radiation missile or HARM targeting system to hunt and disable enemy surface-to-air missile sites. That made the 169th the only Air National Guard fighter unit able to perform the suppression of enemy air defenses SEAD mission with HARMs. Perfectly, that's going to kind of line up with today's guest, believe it or not. So today who I have with me is Demetrius Jackson. Welcome, Demetrius Jackson, everybody.
Hello, everyone. What up, Tawana? How you doing?
All right. You want to say hi?
What up?
Yeah, you look good. All right, so I'm gonna let her go ahead and join us today. All right. So, Demetrius, although I read it again, what was your branch of service and what was your job? It
Um,
was.
well, my original branch of service was the United States Marine Corps, and I was a 2841, which is also known as a ground radio repairman. I did that for 5 years. I was stationed in Camp Pendleton and in Okinawa, Japan. Um, and they were changing my career field and combining it with radio operator. So it's now classified as a 2844, and that's radio operator slash maintainer. And that's pretty much why I got out, because as much as I love the Marine Corps and I had my niche, and I had a pretty good unit that I worked with and good people that I worked with. We were taught in boot camp, the antenna on your back gives you 23 seconds in combat. And that wasn't really what I was feeling in life. I didn't feel like I wanted to be a target. For the rest of my time, no offense to anybody who was a grunt or who carried the radio in combat, but they gave me the choice, and I chose not to do it further. So yeah, my first 5 years were in the United States Marine Corps. My last 15 were in the United States Air Force, where I did ground radio repair, and I also did aircraft maintenance my final 5 years.
Okay. So the fact that you said wearing the radio on your back, when we get to my husband's story, so I did not share with you all. So I met Dametrius Jackson while I was stationed at Whiteman Air Force Base. If you guys are new to my channel and do not know that I am a communications troop, so is my husband. But yeah, so Dametrius Jackson worked more closely with my husband than with me. So my husband, this is how he used to tell the story of what he did when he would speak to civilians. He would mention the radio on the back. So it's kind of perfect that was that was how you described it.
I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's either in the vehicle or it's on two legs. That's it. Those the only options that you got.
Yeah.
And speaking of your husband, I'm sure it's gonna come up, but I'm gonna say it now. He saved my career in the Air Force very early on. My transition from the
Yeah, hold
Marine.
that.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. So okay, he saved your career. All right.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna let you get to that. All right. So, how long did you serve? You said that 15 years in the Air Force, and how long in the Marines?
5 in the Marine Corps. I made it to
And
20 years.
five in the Marines. Why? Okay, you retired. So,
Yes.
why did you retire?
Well, the Air Force in its infinite wisdom decided to take me out of ground radio and put me into aircraft maintenance because needs of the military supersede the need of the airman, the soldier, the marine, or the naval person. So the need
Mhm.
was we need people to do aircraft maintenance. That wasn't my bag. I had some injuries. I was not able to go up underneath the jet and consistently do repairs, and that wasn't vibing with what was happening with me. So uh, I knew that I no longer wanted to pursue being active duty. So got out at 20, was able to retire, honorable discharge, and now I'm 100% disabled veteran. I would like to thank the Marine Corps because most of my injuries came from them. Appreciate y'all. And and so yeah, it's been a pretty good ride. Well, I just chose to retire because it wasn't it for me anymore. There were more things that I wanted to do. I had been married for 8 years, and it was time for a different challenge and a different way to provide for my family and to be able to be around for my family more. My last five, my pretty much during my marriage, we talking about short tour deployment short tour. So in the first 4 years of my marriage, I was home maybe a year and a half.
Okay,
And
hold that,
hmm
hold that. You gonna dive in real deep. You gonna dive in deep, and I'm looking for something that I can't don't find, and it's irritating me. Okay, so we jumped right into your story, but we got to go into my icebreaker real quick. She talking about rude.
all right, let's do it.
Yes, the last one. Are you capable? And
Zendaya. He can't even see it yet, so hush. So we're gonna jump into my little icebreaker real quick that I have for you.
All right.
And we're gonna do it in this order first. Because the other one is probably gonna help lead you into your story. And don't laugh at me and my technology
Oh no,
me and
you
my
you smooth
technology
thing.
skills.
You screen sharing pretty right, but you're gonna have to read that because even with my
No,
barcode,
that ain't it.
yeah, I'm about to say I can't see that.
That ain't it. It's coming.
I don't see the
You hush. It's Lord. Okay. Now that, can you see that slideshow?
No,
You can't.
all I see is a Word document with some stuff on it.
Oh Lord, let me start over. I'm gonna start over. I'm gonna close it and start over. Oh, okay. I see. I see what happened there. And see now, look how ugly it is. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Where'd it go? Y'all would think I was a calm troop. I said I was a calm troop, but now look at me.
No, that was back with Windows 7 and all of that, y'all. That was the NT days. Don't worry about
Lord,
it.
now I can't even find it. It's open. It's down here. Lord. But you know what? People know I always got a problem. Okay, you see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So this is just a cultural type thing. This is
Oh,
all that it is. So don't feel that you got to be cultural. What's the word? Appropriate. Just this is culture. Okay.
all right.
Where do you call home? Where are you from originally?
Originally, I'm from Rochester, New York, but home now is Las Vegas.
Okay. So New York, we rocking with the New York culture. All right. So just what is that? How do you say that?
That's water.
You hush. Oh, you're gonna have to go. You can't be quiet.
2.
Just the H word.
Oh, that's hair.
H word.
Here. Oh, that's them sneakers. That's a cot. Basket. Wallet. Or was for a woman. That's a purse. That's an alley.
This is more about this area of the house. What you call that?
That's a foyer.
Okay.
Oh, man, we used to call them ices. Unless that's a pudding cup. Look like icy.
I see.
That's also an icy. Or julep.
You said julep?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's a boatload of stuff.
You said boat?
Yes.
Okay. And this.
Okay. It's a wife beater, also known as the A shirt.
Oh, you said okay. All right.
I'm just
So
saying it. I'm saying
okay.
it.
So in New York, y'all say A shirt.
No, I said it's a wife beater, also known as an A shirt.
Okay. So Demetrius, do you have any siblings?
Yeah, my brother's 10 years younger than me.
Okay, so are you the oldest? I mean, are the oldest or you're middleborn? Where do you fall?
Well, on the maternal side, I'm the oldest. On my biological side, I'm the second oldest of 13.
Oh Lord. Okay, well then you get to pick. So would you say you are a middleborn child?
No. I would say I'm the firstborn. I'm just giving you
Firstborn.
biological history. I'm the firstborn.
Okay, so do these characteristics describe you accurately?
Well, you're gonna have to read them because all I see is purple blur.
Really? Purple. Okay. Responsible, motivated, conscientious, controlling, cautious, reliable, perfectionist, achiever, leader, and bossy.
About 80% of that, yeah.
Okay. Gosh. That is it. Thank you for participating
No worries.
in that. So we are back to all right. So where we left off is you were telling us um your separation or retirement while you retired, that you
Hmm.
are 100% disabled. And now, so the next question, so you have siblings. So
Yes.
like most of us Black folks, do you have family members who were in the military?
Well, it's funny. I didn't find out how many family members I had in the military until I actually joined the military.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I knew about my grandfather who was in the Navy, but once I signed up, then I found out my cousin Troy was in the Army. My uncle Wally was in the Marine Corps. Um, I know there's some other people off that served, and if my grandmother was still here, she would give you the laundry list. But military services throughout my family just wasn't talked about.
Mm-hmm.
You would see the pictures on the wall, but unless you're actually uh thinking about joining the service or actively in the service, you don't really know as a child what those pictures are. You know, I know a boot camp photo now when I see it, no matter what branch, because we all got the same look on our face.
Yeah. Yeah. So what before you joined, like what did you think that it was?
The military.
No, the photos.
Oh man, I honestly I thought it was like college or something like I don't know, a fraternity, I guess. I never because I never really asked questions about it.
Mm-hmm.
I came up in the age where it was especially with my uncle Wally. All this the marine paraphernalia was downstairs in the basement. We had furnished basements in New York, and he had like his model cars and that. You ain't touched none of that stuff. So I
Yeah.
really didn't ask questions. I just thought it was like, okay, it's like his college stuff or whatever. I really didn't know. My grandfather told me about his service, so I was aware of his. And of course, he had jokes when I joined because the Marines are a department of the Navy. So he was like, "I own you," and I'm like, "But you're not in." So I don't know why we're having this discussion, but yeah.
Okay. So next then, what made you decide to join? And was the Marines your first choice?
So this is gonna sound bad, but I can only tell it how it happened.
Yeah.
I was anxious to get out of Rochester, but
Mm-hmm.
I did not have a plan. And so within this all happened in one day. I checked the mail. And back then, the recruiters could go to the school and see who were prospects to go on to college and who weren't for various reasons. And they would target those who were not college prospects. While I had
Mm.
the grades, I skipped school, so I didn't have the attendance. So I got a flyer in the mail about the Marine Corps. Um, then I was watching TV and I saw a Marine Corps commercial. And like half an hour later, I got a cold call from the Marine Corps recruiter. So I just figured it was a sign. And it was like, all right, cool. I'm going Marine Corps. Let's make this happen. I didn't do any research on any other branch. Um, it just seemed like, okay, this is too much of a coincidence for this not to be the direction that I should go in. And so once I determined I was going in the Marine Corps, then I had to get my parents on board, my grandmother and my mom, because I was actually 16 when I went into boot camp. So they had to sign off on it, and I got old school parents. You want to join the military? That's honorable. That's a job. All right, cool. Make a man of them. So they signed off, with no issue. And that's how I joined the Marine Corps. I wish I could say I saw bald eagles and fireworks and it was patriotism, but it was just like I can't stay in Rochester. I'm allergic to not having a job, so we got to find something.
Yeah. Okay, so you kind of, so that was how that happened. And so this is probably the same answer, but since it's worded differently, it might come out differently.
Okay.
So walk us through the night before and the day that you left.
So the night before I left, it was family dinner. We're so proud of you. I wasn't really nervous. I didn't know what to expect. You see the flyer and they tell you, the proud the Marines. We do more in a day than most people do in a lifetime. All that propaganda and rah stuff. And it was just like, all right, but I don't know what that means, so I don't know what I'm getting into. And the day of, you go in the MEPS, and you swear in, and it gets real because they hand you some plane tickets, and they like, yeah, life as you know it is over. And so I was just like, okay. I got on the plane. I rode to South Carolina, good old Paris Island, where they make real Marines. I don't want to hear about Hollywood. Um, I'm sorry, it's just a fact. Um, and what I remember most about that ride was because I used to write poetry a lot back then. I was sitting next to a white lady and I was writing some poetry and that, and she was being nosy, like, "Hey, what's this?" And I showed it to her, and she was like, "Can I keep this?" And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And she was just like, "And you're going into the military, into the Marine Corps?" I said, "Yeah." She was just like, "Hmm, interesting." I didn't know what that meant. Like, what, people don't write in the military? Like, I'm sure they got pens and paper. Like, I don't understand why you telling me this, but yeah, when you get on that bus, yeah, all them videos y'all see on YouTube where they show that indoctrination, that's real. A really angry man with a big hat gets on yelling at you in ways you ain't been yelled at before in your life, and your brain locks up, and because you're trying to figure out, why is this man so angry? I ain't do nothing. I don't know where I'm going. I'm looking at you for direction, and you're telling me get on my footprints. That sentence makes no sense, sir. Um, how can I get on your footprints that you're currently standing on them? It's like, what are you talking about? And so yeah, that was the night before, the day of, all the way till I got to Paris Island.
Okay, so that takes us to, this is your 15 minutes. So whatever you would like to share about your military career, this is your time.
I would say, if I could sum up my military career, it's about people. Um, I forged some good relationships in my time in the Marine Corps and in the Air Force. I was blessed to not only be a troop, but to be a leader of men and women in both capacities. I got to watch troops that I helped get meritoriously promoted. I got to see them retire as captains and majors. I got to see people I work with make it to senior master sergeant and E8 and E9. Some folks, and it's just amazing to see the people that you started out with, where they go to. And I look at some of my former troops now who are commissioned officers, and it's just like, okay, I had a hand in that because my career was remarkably average. um I tended to get in my way, so I retired as an E6. which is just making it. But whatever, I did 20. I'm retired. I got full benefits. Can't take that from me. But I could say that I've had an impact on many people's career, thus having an impact overall on the Marine Corps and the Air Force. And I would like to think that I helped make it better. Um, I had wonderful tours with great people. I went to Korea twice, and each time half of the tour was amazing because of the people I was with. And then when they left, it sucked because the amazing people were no longer there. Um, I forged great friendships everywhere I went. So the biggest thing about the military that I would say is the people, man, the relationships. Even being able to catch up with you right now, I have very fond memories of your husband and you spending many times at your house. Matter of fact, y'all the reason why I got into the TV show 24. Thank you for that, by the way. Um, but as I mentioned earlier, like your husband helped save my career. It was a very hard transition from the Marine Corps to the Air Force. And he was a stand-up dude who would always tell me straight, like, hey, you need to tone that down. Hey, this is what's being said about you. Hey, this ain't how we do things. He helped ease my transition. Cause yeah, I was gonna blow it. Um I didn't have no problem telling people how I felt, but I did not have the rank to be that transparent, if you will. And so so yeah, I found myself in hot water a lot. And he helped me navigate that initial transition to where I could become a functioning member of the Air Force, and I'm forever grateful to him for that. He actually reached out to me later to try to get me to join one of his future things. And honestly, if I didn't have my head so far up a woman's behind who I ended up not marrying, uh, I probably should have took him up on that. My career might have been a little different. Um, but it's definitely the people. I still have folks from the Marine Corps that I keep in touch with. A couple of them came to my wedding in 2012, and I met these people back in '97. Um, so yeah, that's like all in all, it comes down to the people. You know this as a veteran. Your oh yeah, we was married. My wife downstairs. 2008 is when we was married. You didn't get the full equation. Yeah, so from '97 to 2008, these cats are still in my wedding that because they had a profound impact on me. Um, but it is you know this. Your tour is only as good as the people you're with. You can be in a horrible environment, but if the people you work with are amazing, that time you reflect on it positively. Where like when I was in DC, many people kill to be in DC. I call that time hell. The only thing I got good out of DC was my wife. But all that stress and everything that I went through, oh no, y'all can have that. But I didn't really have a good circle while I was there. I didn't have people who I could turn to, who I could rely on, and who would tell me the truth, and me be allowed to tell them the truth too. So yeah, people play a major part, no matter how much we want to feel like they don't.
Okay, so that was 5 minutes.
I,
So, so let me
you
help
know me.
y'all.
You don't know.
Let
You
me
know I
help
don't
y'all.
talk that much.
So, all right. So it's what we gonna do. Transit 5 years in the Marines.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about, because I didn't get it all, but I got
Hmm.
the grunt part. So you said you were a grunt in the Marines.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I was a 2844
Okay, I
or
wrote 28.
41.
That's all I got. I wrote
Yeah,
28,
I
then I
was a
wrote grunt. Okay.
2841 ground radio repairman. What I was saying was one of the reason why I got out the Marine Corps was they were combining my career field with a radio operator,
Okay.
which puts the antenna on my back, which makes me a target.
Which makes
And
you, yeah, okay.
I was saying no offense to the grunts, the 0311s, and the people who actually went out there and put rounds down range and put themselves in harm's way, but they gave me the option, and I wasn't choosing to be shoot here.
Yeah.
So that's
So
why I got out the Marine Corps. I actually did not want to get out the Marine Corps. It was a good thing. I had my niche. I was pretty much a subject matter expert. I successfully ran a shop, my own shop, for a year. We were highly rated. I knew what I was doing. It was easy work. Um, but when you tell me I'm gonna have to put that antenna on my back after you preach to me that that's 23 seconds, now I'm good. God bless those who do it because we need y'all. But that ain't me.
how many Marines did you have in your shop?
Trying to remember off the top. I want to say I was in charge of 15 Marines.
15. And
Got
your
two
rank at this time, or pay grade
corporal,
at this
corporal,
time?
corporal E4.
E4. All right. And so then you switch over to the Air Force.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you have to go to Air Force basic training?
No, I went to what's called the Sister Service Brief. I
Okay.
wanted to go to Air Force training. I think that would have been very instructive and helpful because it would have taught me to change a culture. But all they did was give me a week to learn basic rank structure and pretty much enough time to get your uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
And then they shipped me to Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, where I met y'all. But I'm less than 3 months removed, 4 months removed from running my own shop as an E4, where I only report to one person. And I come into a shop now where I'm no longer an NCO and I see poor leadership. And I challenge it immediately. I don't wait to survey the land. I don't get to see how things operate because my mindset was, oh, I have the knowledge and the ability to fix this. I know how to make a shop hum, so let me do what I do. And they like, brother, you ain't even an NCO. I'm gonna need you to go ahead and cool that. And that was a part your husband had to play for me. He had to tell me this ain't how we talk to troops in the Air Force. Um, we use less colorful language. We try to be a little bit more respectful of the person. Um, Now there were some things he agreed with me, but I just didn't have the rank to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was frustrating because coming from the Marines and the Air Force, I kept E4, but I
Mm-hmm.
lost NCO.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was doing in the Marine Corps was equivalent to an E6 in the Air Force. And so you take somebody that's been doing this for a year plus and now tell them, hey, go back to shut up and color, that's kind of hard. Um, and I wasn't endearing myself to anybody. I wasn't trying to be understood. I came in with all the bravado and gusto that the Marine Corps teaches you to have, which is I'm here now, trying to make this better.
Yeah.
Instead of being a part of a team per se, how the Air Force would like it to happen now. And my wife still says I'm very much Marine. I would like to think that I've mellowed, but there's time and a place for everything. And there were places where that part of my leadership style and that part of my personality worked, namely deployment. Deployment, they don't have no problem with you going, hey, I can handle that. Hey, I can do this. They like, cool, do it. So that worked out. But back in garrison, um, when you got a E6 saying, hey, we need to have a closed door meeting. And where I'm from, that means we taking off the top and we furniture moving. So he wondering why I'm smiling and loosening up.
Yeah. About to lose your bearings. So tell us a little bit more. You said you went to Korea twice. You
Yeah,
said you were in DC, but
yeah.
what does this mean? Like, was your only base Whiteman? Obviously not. So where all were you stationed?
Excuse me. Yeah. So okay, Korea was Osan Air Force Base both times.
Okay.
Um, so I'll go in chronological order from the Marine Corps all the way through. So in the Marine Corps, I went to first I went to boot camp in South Carolina, and then I went to 29 Palms for tech school, which is in the Mojave Desert in Cali. Then I was stationed at Camp Pendleton, which is also in Cali. Then I went to Okinawa, Japan. That's not mainland. That's the little island. And then I got into the Air Force, and I first went to Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, followed by South Korea. And then I went to Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland, back to Korea. Then I went to Spain, Morone Air Base, Spain. Then I went to San Antonio, and then I ended my career at my final base, which was Nellis Air Force Base, and here in Las Vegas. Um, all this means is that I've traveled. I was in what's called Tops and Blue. I was
Okay.
the audio engineer for that year, which means I balanced sound for all of the instrumentation that went on during our 90-minute show. Um, we toured the states and went to USOs and various veteran places. And then when we went overseas, we performed for the troops to help boost morale during combat times. We went to the UAE. I'm sorry, we went to the Middle East for those who are not military inclined during the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays to perform for the troops, just to give them a touch of home. And during that time, I literally was blessed to see the world. It was probably the only time where that the promise they give you when you join. You're gonna see, you're gonna travel, you're gonna go everywhere until you find out if your job allows. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if there's not overmanning. But yeah, I actually got to in that year see the world. It would be easier for me to point on a globe where I have not been than to tell you where I've been. So I was very blessed for that.
So you explained what USO is, but for those who don't know, like exactly what's tops in blue, because
Oh
it could sound like it's honor guard. Like what's tops
no
in
no
blue?
no! It was traveling Air Force entertainment. It was literally a it's a variety show. We uh we did musical and dance acts from at least my time there. We did it from the 1920s all the way to 2010, different musical styles, dance styles. And then we ended it with what we called the patriotic set, which was, God bless America, proud to be an American, and of course, the Air Force song. Um, but yeah, it was just a traveling showcase. We set up our own stage and lighting, set up our own sound stage, which was an awesome experience. One of my treasured memories in the Air Force, and I don't readily talk about it just because not that I'm not proud of it because I have memorabilia from it, I have pictures and that. Um it's just one of those things that as you know me, I share it. So that's why when you gave me that 15 minutes, it just didn't naturally come out. But yeah, it was not a lot of people have done that.
Mm-hmm.
But that was also part of me being away in the beginning part of my marriage. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I did Tops and Blue at the end of our second year of marriage, so we were still, we're I'm coming off a deployment, a 6-month deployment, and then I'm turning around and leaving for another 10 and a half months. So, and during that time, we got to see each other because she came to visit me while we're on the road when we were in DC, and when we went back to San Antonio briefly before we went back overseas. Before we went overseas, rather, because we were living in San Antonio at the time. So while it was a wonderful opportunity, it also, my marriage paid the price because we did not have that time building in the beginning where it's very important. We had good communication because our courtship was basically long distance, but it's a
Mhm.
difference between courting somebody and now you actually married and committed and involved with them and you not around. My wife is not military, so she had to adjust to, oh, he's not gonna be here. Like, I've heard about this, but this is an actual reality. And it was easier for me because I had been gone from my family. Like I said earlier, I was 16 when I joined the Marine Corps. So I was used to being away from family for a long time. Like, you come home on leave, that's 2, 3 weeks, and then you back out again. And I'll see y'all in 6 months, or I'll see y'all in a year. And this just repeated. So being deployed for me wasn't necessarily a big deal, but it was for my wife, and that was something she had to get accustomed to. And I had to learn how to communicate better during them times. You can't have somebody messaging you and giving you a paragraph and you hit them back with 3 words.
Yeah,
That don't
yeah,
work.
yeah. I don't care how busy you are. No, you better you better expect. So when were you dating? Was this? I know you said it, but I didn't write it down. Before when we could text, we could FaceTime. Like when was this?
Oh no.
It was
My
before.
wife and I. Let me just did this tell you how old we were, how long ago it was. My wife and I met on blackplanet.com.
Yeah, yeah. You better not respond with no. Yeah,
Yeah. So this is when you still like calling cards,
yeah,
the thing. Like we were it was the beginning of Skype, and we would
yeah.
call each other on Yahoo Messenger. There was this stupid avatar, this little Spanish dancing heart that we would hit just to be like, I love you. I don't even know if that's what it said, but it was just a little dancing heart, and we play a little stupid tune, and that was just our thing. Um, but yeah, like, nah, we dated. We didn't date. We were friends for 3 years. I met her, like I said, in Andrews Air Force Base. A very difficult time in my life. I was actively involved with another female, putting myself in debt and tearing up my credit and lowering my self esteem and all of that fun stuff. Excuse me. And she was just a friend, and she was a bystander watching this happen and kind of question, why I was doing this. And over time, we stayed friends and that. And then one day, God just told me that was my wife, and then I had to go ahead and let her know. And I had to let my man I call my father, not my biological father, but I had to let my dad know. And I just summarize because I ain't trying to keep everybody here. But I talked to Tam. My wife's name is Tammy Jackson. I talked to Tam, and at the end of the conversation, I was like, "Hey, um, I would like to be your man, and if everything go right, I could see myself marrying you in a year." Now, I was only supposed to say, "Hey, I want to be your man." That was all I was supposed to say. That other
Okay,
part was in my head, but I said it out loud. And so she was like, "Cool, I like you. This could work. No pressure. He overseas. We ain't got to worry about sexual temptation and all of that. Yay." So now I called my dad and I'm like, "Yo, I just did something stupid." And he's like, "What you do?" And I told him, and he was like, "You love her?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "You see yourself marrying in a year. You see anything changing that won't let that happen?" Nah. So why you want to wait a year? And I was like, man, you make a lot of sense. He's like, all right, cool, call it back. Hang up, call it back, and tell her what I said. And I said, okay. I waited 2 days to do that. And so when I called her back, and you know me, I don't phrase things well sometimes. And so we're at the end of the conversation, and I'm like, hey, I wasn't really honest with you the last time we talked. And I tell people this because it's true. I could hear the bricks being built in the wall because she thought, this little midget lied to me, talking about he want to be with me and now he don't. And I was like, nah, that's not what I'm saying. Um, I don't want to just be your man. I want to be your husband. And then I heard, the wrecking ball go through the bricks. And she made me sweat it out. She said with all her heart yes, but she had to pray about it, and she ain't bring it back up again for another 5 whole days. And now you would think during that time she would be nice and not, talk to me. No, we talked every day. And she would just end the conversation like, all right, good talk, click. Like, what do you mean? Like this question in the air, man. You gonna answer this thing? But going on 16 years later, we know the rest is history. So
Yeah, congrats. And I don't know if that's really would be nice. Like for me, I don't know if that'd be nice. You ain't talking to me for 5 days, but I don't know.
I
So
mean,
then,
when you putting yourself out there, you want to answer. The
mhm.
conversation was nice, but I couldn't tell you what we talked about because I was waiting to hear her answer. She could probably till this day tell you what we was talking about. I have no clue. I heard wah 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 wah, and I'm waiting for an
Not
answer.
my answer.
And on the fifth day, I got an answer. That's the conversation I remember.
Yeah, I know that would be me, but I wouldn't want silence either, because then I'm gonna think that you about to say no. So I don't know. So I'm gonna jump then forward to the perfect segue because of you deploying so much.
Mm.
So do you have children?
No. That's why we're going through the foster care classes that I was telling you about before we came on
That's
your
right.
wonderful
We was talking about
podcast. Yeah. I said before we came on your wonderful podcast, you ain't let me finish. Now,
that.
no, we haven't been able to have biological children. So
Mhm.
we're looking into fostering and hoping to foster to adopt. Um, we went through a failed adoption. That was rough, but
Mhm.
we're going through a similar process, but different, where we're not at the whim of excuse me, people, but we're going through the system, and we're just believing that God will give us a child that's for us.
Well, good luck with that.
Thank
And
you.
that's always good business. We need more of that out there. So this other one, I guess it was kind of like unofficial, doing it on your own.
Well, we had a young mother reach out to us from a friend of the family. They knew us from church, and they recommended us, and so we went through the whole process. And the day of the birth, mom changed her mind, and I'm really abbreviating that because it was by
Yeah,
far one of the worst days of my life and my wife's life. And so,
yeah.
um, but yeah, we had the car seat. We was ready. The baby. We went through the final checkups. The baby was supposed to be coming home with us, and it ended up not being so. And so we had to heal from the hurt of that, and then still decide, do we want to be a nuclear family? And once we came to the conclusion that yes, we do want children, then we want to try again. And it's okay. What can we do to safeguard ourselves as best as possibly emotionally? So up front with foster care that there's a likelihood of being reunited with the birth family. That's the ultimate
Mhm.
goal. However, in most cases, when they talk about infants and young ones, the parental rights may end up being terminated, and you can legally adopt a child.
Yeah.
So that's the path that we're taking because honestly, the financial toll of that failed adoption is still recovering from. And
Hmm.
but to God be the glory, He got us through it, and our good circle of friends here um helped our family that's here help, and that goes back to what I was talking about, where people can really determine like the quality of where you're at. Because if you told me I would be living in Las Vegas, I'd have laughed at you. We planned on retiring in San Antonio, like leaving Lackland Air Force Base, and but that didn't happen. But yeah, I we were married for the last 8 years of my career, and I was deployed probably three and a half for the first of those 8. So,
Hmm.
and I know that's not as much as others, but especially in the beginning, like I made guest appearances in my own marriage for the first 2 years.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that one. So you told us about the difficulties adjusting to the Air Force.
Yeah,
And so I don't know if this is going to be your answer, but was there a time where you had to overcome adversity?
several, several, and excuse me, most of the time the adversity was self-made. Um, I had an incredible knack for not listening, so I made things harder on myself.
Hmm.
Um, but from not understanding how I was perceived as a young airman coming from the Marine Corps,
Hmm.
honestly feeling like I was a zoo exhibit. The
Hmm.
commander and you can ask your husband about this one. The commander would call me up and just have me in a circle with people and be like, "Hey, say that thing you used to say in the Marine Corps." And I'm like, "Yo, I don't have a pull string in me, man. Like, I don't just walk around saying stuff. Like, I'm not a toy." And I had the commander take shots at me at commander's call because I dared to suggest improvements to the PT program. And
Did you?
so, oh yeah, man, my first Air Force PT session, I go up in the gym and these jokers doing ankle rotation. I promptly went back into the weight room and continued working out because in my Marine Corps mind, this was a waste of my time. Um, and what's odd is I actually failed the bike test, which I thought was a myth, but I failed the bike test, and I remember so many people rejoicing because I failed the bike test. But this is as it was getting phased out. And so a month later, we went to the mile and a half run, to which I started smiling. And so those same people that were laughing at the former Marine, like, ha, were now watching a former Marine lap them. I don't know if you remember a Whiteman, that little lake that had the loop that you could run.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I used to lap people on
I
that
hated
and
that.
for a mile and a half. I used to bust their behind and did excuse me. Then it was like, who's laughing now? Like this little fake test that y'all call fitness ain't really what it is. Um, but yeah, it's been a lot of adversity from being diagnosed with depression, um, going through financial hardships, self-inflicted, suspended Article 15s. Um, yeah, I've had my fair share, but I was able to get through it. Mostly because God is good and He is who He says He is, even when we're not. And also because in every step of the way, He provided people at key moments to influenced me to be able to get through what I was going through.
Yeah, good. So because you mentioned PT, right? So one of my follow-up questions is, do you think that there was a policy that helped or contributed to your situation? And so PT is one of those things that I think because it's totally different. Air Force and Marine, because and when you mentioned that lake, I think that I was in CE. I don't think I was in comm squadron at this time, but the comm commander would still have us out there, have you guys out there, and it's freezing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is madness. So, do you think there's a policy that helped or contributed to your situation?
If I'm understanding the question, I would say not necessarily a policy in terms of PT, because the Air Force can't make up its mind what it wants to do for PT. The PT policy has changed 3 times during my 15 years in the Air Force, and from what I understand, it's undergone yet another change. So they don't know what they're doing for PT. Like they should just look at branches that do it for real and steal theirs, but that's another subject. Um, I would say the biggest the biggest hindrance would be, and it's an informal policy. The Marine Corps and the Army take chain of command very, very seriously. And small things like being called by your first name, while it sounds stupid and it sounds regimented and it sounds ridiculous, in a form where if you don't follow instructions in the right environment, death can happen. That type of structure is necessary. So I think the biggest hindrance was me coming from a service that took rank structure seriously and what you can do in that rank structure, to a service that said they did, but also had an E6 telling an E4, hey, call me Tim, or what's your first name? And I'm like, my first name's Senior Airman. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, you're never gonna know my first name until you see me write it on a paper. And like, he would literally call me Demetrius, and I literally would not answer because I'm Airman Jackson. I don't understand. We not cool, dude. We not buddies. We not friends. And the people who I'm cool with call me Demetrius off hours. You call me Demetrius in uniform in the Marine Corps, man, you about to get this work. There's some pull-up bars for you. There's some ground that need to be pushed. Apparently, you just wanted to be strong today. I understand. Let me help you. Um, but it's things like that. That was the policy that I didn't understand. Like, are we military or are we just playing dress up?
Yeah. How long did it take for you to adjust to that? Because, yeah, I remember your whole Whiteman time. Staff sergeant, technical sergeant. And I'm like, why won't this dude just say sergeant? Like, so how long?
Whew. I would say it wasn't until I got out of when I met Staff Sergeant Lau. I'm trying to remember the year. Sorry, I know the silence is terrible for a podcast, but I met Sergeant Lau when I went to when I was at Whiteman. So I would probably say the second time around when he was my supervisor again, Small World, and that was in Spain. I think by the time I got to Spain, which was '08,
Okay.
and I went into and I got into the Air Force in '01. I would say about around '08, I was finally acclimated, if you will, to the Air Force. It took a good chunk of time. And funny story, while I was deployed, In the Marine Corps, my roommate was Staff Sergeant Guzman, and he's a Hispanic dude, very, very distinct voice. So fast forward, I'm in LUD. I'm in the Middle East for the first time. This is 0304, and I'm at the chow hall, and I hear Jackson, and I'm like, you got to be joking. And I turn around, and I'm thinking I'm about to see Gunnery Sergeant Guzman, and it's Staff Sergeant Guzman. And I turned and I said, "Oh, you joined too?" He was like, "I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it."
Yeah, gunnery sergeant, that's E7, right?
E6.
E6, okay.
Yeah. Because I'm thinking,
He must
this time he
master
should be
guns.
E6.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should be an E6 at this time when I'm hearing his voice. And he was just like, "I hate it," and he ain't had to say nothing else because I instantly understood what he had been through, and he was way more Marine than me. And so we just sat down and talked for like an hour, just chopping it up and just relaying our experiences. And I would not recommend that transition for anybody. It's a culture shock. It really
It,
is.
it
Like if
is.
you're going to go from the Marine Corps to another branch, go Army.
Yeah.
But I mean, going from the Marines to the Air Force is like training for the Olympics and they're running in a high school sprint contest. It's like, yo, it's
Now, come on now.
what have I said? What I said. Now
You said what you said. It's your story.
my quality of life was way better in the Air Force. Let's not get that twisted. But the camaraderie and the structure was greater in the Marine Corps.
Mm. Why? Say more.
Well, in the Marines, you don't live off base. So you work and live with people. So the same people, if you can't stand them at the job, you're gonna have to deal with them after work. So y'all gonna have to find a way to make it do what it do. And so you had tighter bonds. Whereas in the Air Force, when it's final formation and they say dismiss, cats jumping in their cars and they going back to their apartments. And so there's no time really to build true camaraderie because working with people is good and we can build a work rapport, but I don't know if I don't learn your personality that way. I
Yeah.
don't learn what makes you tick. I don't learn your idiosyncrasies and how you cognitively deal with things unless I can see you in multiple environments. So if I'm only seeing you in one environment, I'm only getting this one side of you. And if you're a good old boy, I'm getting a fake side of you. Or if you're passive at work, I'm only getting this side of you. But if I deal with you on pretty much a 18-hour basis, I'm going to see you go through something. I'm going to see a different side of you. So now I learn how to deal with you multifaceted and with more empathy because I'm coming from a place of knowledge instead of just a leadership style. And
Yeah.
so that was the biggest thing. Like they tried to force camaraderie in the Air Force, and it's like it don't work like that unless you're like a SP or special forces or cop or maintenance where it's a little bit more regimented, then you find those same type of bonds. But I went from not living off base my first 5 years in the military to getting to Whiteman, and they like, so you want to live off base? And I'm like, nah, there's free cable on 3 floors, and I don't have to share a room with nobody. I'm good. I'm living it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Yeah. That is true. And that is one of the things for me that kind of made it difficult, right? So at our first base, when we're airmen and we living in the dorm, it's exactly that, right? So we get to know everybody from every squadron. We all airmen. We all doing the same thing. We're all living that college life, right? Then as we move off base and move up, it's not the same. And then, like in my situation, being admin, when I'm in other squadrons, I don't feel it. I don't feel like I fit in. So for me, that was pretty much the rest of my career. So if when I was in CE, I felt it, because CE is like you're saying, they're engineers, so they're a little bit more, they're tighter. And when I was in LRS, I kind of felt it, but all in all, no, I didn't feel it. I'm the admin. I'm the girl in the front office. I'm the one who's right there. Like I didn't have close relationships at all.
The only time, excuse me, the only time I felt a similar camaraderie was when I was like in Korea, where you're deployed. Well, it's a TDY, but it's basically a deployment. Or when I was deployed, which is when you deal with these people again on an 18, 20-hour basis. And so you get to understand how people work. And also because it's the environment that you're in is a quick turnaround, like people are always constantly moving. So you find that there's more structure when you're deployed, more structure when you're only in a place for a year or two, because, hey, we need you to get this because you need to take this over and we don't need no drop off. So it's less political games and more about your aptitude and your ability to do the job, more so if people per se take an initial liking to you. And then as people got to learn me, I'm hard on the exterior, but I'm not that dude. I'm a teddy bear. Like, if I rock with you, I rock with you. What you need, if I could help you with it, you got it. But if I don't care for you, we can still get the job done. I'm just not gonna say two words to you. And in the Air Force, I found that people needed you to say words to them a lot more than the Marines. And that was just weird. I'm gonna turn the light on in here because I realized I lost sunlight and I'm not dark skinned.
You getting dark. You getting dark. Yeah. So I'm gonna wait for you to sit, and then move on to the next question. Cause you doing pretty good rocking through. Some of these are like I don't even need to ask the question. What's a misconception about the Marines or your job in communications that you like for people to understand? The Marines or Air Force that you would like for people to understand?
Now, my wife would not agree with this, but all Marines are not crazy. There are crazy Marines, and I know a few of them. But the admin Marines, comm troops, the non-combat related jobs, AFSCs, whatever, MOSs, whatever you want to call them. You still got normal individuals. We were indoctrinated. We are Borg, we are one. And so, but yeah, you tell people you a Marine, and the first thing they're like, "Oh, did you kill somebody?" It's like, nah, man. Like, I never seen combat my whole time in. Or you tell somebody I went to Marine Corps, and they're like, "Oh, so you sold out?" Like, what you mean? Like, I had a job. I had I had benefits. Like, I don't understand how that's selling out. Like, you still out here on the corner. What are we talking about here? And then with the Air Force, this one. You tell somebody you're in the Air Force, what's it like to fly a plane? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all know this, but ain't that many planes, and we all don't fly them, and I'm too short to fly one. couldn't tell you. And it's also weird when you in the Air Force and you tell people you hate jets, like, because and you know this, we was at Whiteman. How many times did we hear the letter B and the number 2?
Right.
So people be like, "Oh, it's the B-2 bomber," and I'll be like, "So what?" and they don't understand that. Like, civilians get excited for air shows, and all I think about is that's like a 20-hour work week, a 20-hour work day for 2 weeks for me for this air show. I don't care about the air show. So
Right. Um, see, 110. Let's see. Do you think that either branch helped shape the person that you are today?
ask that again. It was a little distorted.
Do you think either branch helped shape the person that you are today?
Each branch played a role in who I am today. My baseline, um, how I think of things at my core is still very much Marine Corps. Um, when I am in a new situation, I go back to my default setting. I was very observant in the Marine Corps. I didn't talk a lot in the Marine Corps, so that's what I default to. If I feel challenged, I will meet energy. I have a personality trait, and I learned this, and you know this. Every time you got to take a college class, you got to take these stupid little electives because in the military you don't get the opportunity to just sit down and go to school in one place. You end up taking personality tests over and over and over again. And one thing I learned about me, there's a part in me that if I feel like my intelligence is being challenged, I will hit you with every part of my vernacular and acumen to let you know that I am well learned, even though I only have an associate's, that you're not about to outthink me simply because you have a degree higher than mine. But I learned that oddly enough in the Marine Corps, where it was if you know you're right, stand your ground, even if it's to a higher up. Like you there's ways you handle it, like you still gotta do what they tell you do, but bring it up the chain and don't be scared. Um and the military in general, both branches taught me how to deal with a myriad of people. There's no environment I can't go into and function and do my job well. Again, I don't have to be the most personable guy to do my job. It just makes it easier when you like the people that you deal with.
Yeah.
But the military taught me, man, let's get this done. Now the flip side is I'm a licensed minister, and you have to be personable. You have to be empathetic. You have to be compassionate. And those were things that my wife had to teach me, and others like my dad had to teach me how to be, because the military doesn't readily teach you um how to be empathetic and how to be compassionate and or charismatic. It's black and white. We need
Yeah.
this done. If you're not in condition to do it, step aside. We'll get somebody else. But if you here, suck it up and let's make it happen. And that's not real life.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, that is very true. I'm still learning on that one right there. Yes, I am. Okay, so you've talked a lot about it's the people, is what you make it, and even now, how empathy and all of this. So this probably answers the question. So it's another one of those because it's worded differently. What are one or few changes that you think the military could do to be more bearable today?
Ooh, that is a good question. Um, I think if they understand that it's a people business, we get told mission first, and it's 100% true. But there's different ways to achieve mission first, and you don't have to kill people on the way to do it. Um, we've taken political correctness a little too far. Um, but that's off topic. But just if we learn how to lead people versus manage them, the
Mm,
military would be better. I heard it put this way: for you to lead people, they have to give you permission. For you to manage people, all you got to do is be the highest ranking person. And when you managing, they don't buy in, and you're not giving them anything to buy into, and that's the military's problem. They think if they feed you propaganda, or if they tell you the bet we're the best, like the slogans "aim high" and whatever the Air Force's thing is now, the Army of One, and all of these other things, and that they try to hit you with it's false bravado. Um, you can't build your esteem in anything other than God and who He says you are for it to last. So if you put your stock in, I'm airman so and so, when you stop being an airman, what are you gonna do? When you stop being a Marine, what are you gonna do? When you stop being a soldier, when you stop being in the Navy, because I refuse to call them what they're called because it's terrible.
we
Um,
sailors.
oh yeah, sailors. Yeah, I'm immature, so the other word came to mind. But once you stop being that, if that's what you put your stock into, and I fell into that, like
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I identified myself as an average Marine, but I was a Marine. So when I got into the Air Force and being a Marine didn't work, it's like, what you mean? Like, and then not having my own true characteristics to fall back on, because I was never built as a person. I was built as a commodity.
Mm,
The military unfortunately builds us as commodities. And so if you do a career, unless you get a job and basically what you've been doing as a civilian, where you become a GS or a government contractor, you get to the real world and be like, oh, this different.
yes,
And so I just think if the military could find a way to truly invest in their greatest resource, their most renewable resource, which is people, um, and it's a group effort. It's from leadership and it's individuals at the same time. Um, but I think that would be better. And just simple things is pay. And when the cost of living is killing your airmen or killing your Marines, you can't tell me just because I can eat at a chow hall that I should be thankful. Like, yo, I'm trying to pay this rent. Like, I need more BAH. Like, what are we talking about here?
yeah,
Where I can go get a civilian job that's gonna pay me 3, 4 times more. Like, I understand you can't pay us as civilians because the workforce is just so much bigger. But there's no reason that you don't break the poverty line till you hit E4. That's criminal.
indeed. They think we making bank, but it's about the benefits. So last question of the official part. Anyone that's looking to join the military, what would you tell them?
Do your research. Um, Understand that the recruiter's job is to sell you. It is not their job to give you what's best for you. Find if you know what you're passionate about, search that out, and whatever branch you need to do that in. Don't let them pigeonhole you into anything. But understand once you sign that paper, you no longer have rights. You are now the property of the United States government. And if you come to that basic understanding, then your time in the military will be better. I will never tell anybody do not join the military. I think the military is a wonderful vocation. I think that it could be the gap between for those who need employment, who need to be self-sustaining, especially young men who may not have the aptitude, the wherewithal, the want to go to college. This gives you a chance to be able to provide for yourself, learn, make pitfalls in that where it only involves you, so that when it comes time to be the man of the house or be head of the household or help out with the family, you're equipped with real life tools to be able to do that. The military is a wonderful vehicle for being self sustaining while you're still yet trying to find your civilian purpose in life. I have nothing negative to say about the military despite the hard times I went through. If I could do it again, I would do it again because all in all, the military has been great to me. Um, but I also understand the times that we're in. And so, yeah, the military is not for everyone. But if you choose it again, just understand that recruiter's trying to get you to sign the bottom line for the least amount of benefits as possible. Do your research. It ain't like in our day where we had to trust a recruiter. Now you can Google.
Yeah.
You can talk to some veterans who's been through it, and you can come up there educated, but like, no, I want E3 out of boot camp.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
tell me I can't do it. I know I can. Like, so things like that where you can get a jump on your career and be better off financially, and career wise. And I'll also tell them, if all possible, go officer. We had a joke, man, you gonna pay me to be disgruntled. I would much rather you be on the officer's pay scale than the enlisted. And I did my whole career enlisted.
Yep. That's what we all say. Go officer if you can. Okay. So our ending question is, I feel like I know the answer because I know how you eat your grits. So we having breakfast at your house. Are you gonna serve us pancakes or are you serving us waffles?
If I have a what in my house?
We are having breakfast at your house. You're serving breakfast. Is it pancakes or is it waffles?
If my wife is doing it, it's waffles because she loves Belgian waffles. If I'm doing it, it's pancakes.
Yes, that's what I thought. Okay, so Demetrius, I thank you for your time. This has been a great interview. And
Thank you.
did you have any last words before we officially end this interview?
No, other than it's been a pleasure seeing you again. It's been too long. Um, glad to see y'all thriving in that, and just telling me I said what's up and praying that it gets better.
Right, thank you. So with that, y'all know what it is.
I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. I would like to thank my guests for joining me, or simply thank you for watching the pre recorded episode. No matter what your birth order is, how you self identify, and whether you like pancakes or waffles. If this is the first time you're hearing it today, I want you to know that you are loved. You were put here for a purpose that only you can fulfill. Until next time, take care of yourself. Be sure that you like and share the videos, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notifications bell. This is RealRam out.